Hello. It's been a while. Or should I say bonjour? That was obviously, and I recognize it, terrible. I don't know French. I know Spanish. I can say hola. I can also say salam alaikum. That's where my... No, I did in fact. So I never actually completed that sentence, but I was gonna say that I did learn Mandarin on Duolingo for like 3 months, so I know how to say hello in Mandarin as well. Okay, you don't know this? I am watching... Here, let's turn the camera. I'm watching the ALCS while I film this. Lets you know I am in fact recording this in October. Has it been a hot minute since the summer I turned pretty ended? Yes. It is now the fall I complete this little series I have going where I compare the book to the TV show. Here's the thing though. I got into a little bit of a pickle because the final 3 episodes do not follow the format of the books. They have some inspo, but they don't. So I was like, do I even make these videos? And I ultimately landed on, yes, I will in fact be making them, but they're going to be a little bit different. I'm going to talk more about the TV show and then connect it to like the 7 pages we have left of the show. Because there's 3 and then there's like 4 letters. You'll see how this works. I've done this with previous videos. I will put one up in the card. So the episode starts where the final episode ended, which is Belly at the airport, and she pulls on that invisible string, and Conrad looks, but by the time he looks, she is gone. So he's in LA, and she's made it to Paris. And honestly, Belly in Paris really annoyed me. I will fully say that this episode is the worst episode of The Summer I Turned Pretty. Without a doubt. Conrad finds out that the wedding was cancelled. Up top to everyone, let's celebrate. And then we see everyone at the bar huddled around Jair, giving him their condolences for this failed marriage. Is it a failed marriage if the marriage never occurred? Failed engagement? Yeah, let's go with that. In that moment. And in many future moments, I truly did feel bad for Denise because she had to sit through Redbird trying to give Jeremiah a pep talk in like the grossest way possible. I mean, not the grossest way. I'm sure it could have been grosser, but it was still not the vibe. We get beerology mentions. We get told that there is a lot of people in this bar hotter than Belly. And then we get mentions of Lacey and Cabo because she will travel for, I'm not going to finish that phrase, but you know where this is going. Stephen and Taylor's little rekindling moment does in fact get interrupted by Conrad showing up. Maybe it's because I'm a Conrad apologist, but I am like, everyone here is being so mean to him. And for what? I mean, I know why they're being mean to him, but like, okay, maybe it's valid. This is the episode in which we start to get a more pro Conrad Taylor. However, she is still too pro Jeremiah in my eyes. This is happening. Laurel and Adam are putting everything away for the wedding because it's not happening. So they have to figure out what to do with the food, what to do with drinks, so on and so forth. And this starts a very funny running gag that is Adam and his champagne of the Belly Jer wedding and what he's going to do with it and where he's going to take it. And now he will take it to every possible event because they ordered a lot and he needs to get rid of it. Point Laura finally is like, hey, why did you think it was a good idea to bring Kaylee and invite her parents to the wedding? Which is a wonderful, wonderful question to ask because I understand that he will have to move on from Susanna. Makes sense. I understand that he cheated and you can't really go back in time. The part that isn't clicking to me is why would you want your first event of you two as a couple to be your son's wedding? You didn't think that'd be messy? Really? Really? We go back to the bar with Stephen, Taylor, and Jeremiah, where he says that he's convinced that in this very moment, Belly is on a plane to California to go with Conrad. As we jump to Belly actually on a plane on the way to Paris, hence the Eiffel Tower. She puts her ring into a little pink pouch, and that is eventually going to go into a backpack. She gets to the airport. Belly does a couple things that really annoy me. Belly, this episode, really annoys me quite a few times. The whole episode really annoys me. She dropped something, and at first I think it was the ring. But no, it was not. It was the AirTag that she spends way too long looking for. She gets to the window. The guy's like, what are you here for? And she's like, I'm a student. Where's your student visa, ma'am? And she's like, I don't have one. I came to the school, but I took my spa, and now I'm back, and I called. And girl, he doesn't want your life story. Just say, tourist, stamp, next. And she gets to the school, and we find out that she, in fact, does not have a spot, which I kind of assumed. Like, I didn't understand how she all of a sudden had a spot again. But she says that she spoke to someone, and they said, yeah, you got a spot. She doesn't have a spot. She doesn't have a spot. Also, if we are going to bring up the book, in the book, Belly does not go to Paris. In the book, Belly goes to Spain. So she spends a year studying abroad in Spain. I truly do wonder why they did the change from Spain to Paris. Is it like the cast and Jenny Han just wanted to go to Paris? That's possible. For a second, I was like, are they going to use Paris by Taylor Swift? Like, is this where this is going? Because honestly, this show is kind of, how can we put Taylor Swift in this show? And I say that with love. I'm wearing the Fearless cardigan. Okay? I say that with love. But sometimes there is like we could have done a better choice with the song. So after she gets the news of like, hey, there's not a spot for you, she just calls Lauren and is like, hey, I'm in Paris. And Laura's like, it sounded like you said Paris, because she wanted to go like pick her up or have her grab, I don't know, like a bus ticket to her. She can't do that. She can't do that. No, she can't. But Laura does eventually tell her like, hey, get a plane ticket. In the meantime, go grab something to eat, go sit down for a little bit. So she goes to this place to get food, right? And this is where we start the beginning of the longest Airtag commercial in human history. I now have Joe Davis eating a turkey on my TV. It's on mute though, so I have no idea what's happening. This is the October that I rotted on my couch. I do that every October. But this time I was like, I really have to film. So anyways, where were we? Back in Cousins, it is the next day. Jeremiah wakes up and sees Steven and Taylor on the couch. He also does make a point to like wedge himself in between them in the couch. He does. I just clock it. He asks for his phone and then is upset that Belly didn't call. And it's like, what part of that is shocking? I don't get it. I don't get it. Taylor's like, you need to shower, we're gonna eat some food. Steven's gonna go get you a change of clothes. Steven is gonna drive to the house, like the big house. Back in Paris, we have Belly going up to pay for her meal, and she leaves her backpack and her suitcase, or maybe just her backpack, on the chair. And then is like, oh my god, my backpack's missing. Girl, do you not know about pickpocketers in Europe? I do. I think we all know. I think we've all seen the videos. And she's like, there's a priceless ring. And it's like, if it was so priceless, why did you put it in there? That man clocked her. So real of him. But also, priceless, girl. We all saw it was worth like 116 or something like that. I understand that it's the emotional value, but whatever. So she pulls out her AirTag, which, by the way, made me also think, they make a point to show the AirTag, but I'm supposed to believe that like Laurel, Jeremiah, Taylor, even Steven, maybe Annika for sure, do not have her location to wonder where she is, and they're all like, where is she? Y'all would know she's in Paris. Let's be so serious. On the topic of Laurel and Jeremiah and whatnot, Laurel goes to visit Jeremiah in the hotel room and is like, hey, I just want to check on you. And he's being rude and disrespectful. And it almost pisses me off even more when later in the episodes he thinks that like Belly and him can still go back together. You are disrespecting Laurel like this. Not only is she your fiance's mother, but she is your mother's best friend. And you're gonna speak to her like that? Oh, that's not gonna work. No. And then he like has horrible acting skills crying against the door. All I'm saying is Conrad would never. In fact, Conrad did the opposite. Conrad made sure no one disrespected Laurel in his vicinity. Let's go back to season 2 when Adam points out like, hey, you thought this was your house, but it was never your house. I'll insert the clip if I can find it. If I don't get copyrighted. I got copyrighted last time. No, 2 times ago. Yeah. Whoops. Another moment that I did not like was Steven in the Fisher house when he goes to Conrad and is again just rude, straight up. Understand why he could be upset with Conrad. That makes sense to me. But Conrad's like, hey, I'm bringing these. I'm caring about Jeremiah here. And he's like upset. It's going to take more than Gatorade for you to forget. Obviously, it's going to take more than Gatorade for him to forgive him. But like, he's doing a good thing. He'd be like, hey, thanks. I don't have to go grab that. Go back to Jeremiah. And he's like, why did you say that to Belly? Like, you're acting like you didn't do the same thing with Taylor low-key when she was dating someone else. Have we? No? Okay. I don't think you're going to talk, Steven. I'm not being too nice. Steven's being a little bit of an a-hole. I'm not loving it. Steven really lost me these last 3 episodes. Really lost me. And that makes me kind of upset because I used to love Steven. But Taylor takes the Gatorade to Jeremiah and he's like, ha. Love this. Steven knows me so well. My best friend. Love him so much. Love red Gatorade. Shout out to Red 40. Taylor is like, yeah, no, this was Conrad's idea. And he's like, I hate Gatorade. Let's pour it out the window. The chase for the AirTag continues for the 17th time. And I understand this must be like a metaphor for Belly finding herself in Paris. I just wish it had been like montage form as opposed to how long it ended up taking and her finally ending up at this like club, I guess you could call it, like a not me getting distracted by the game. Okay, sorry. And she can't get it. She doesn't know the key word, the magic phrase. So she helps the girl out by pretending that she is the girlfriend that the girl mentions. So they get in, and she's on backpack search. The girl ends up being named Gemma. We will see her in future episodes, and she introduces herself as Isabel. So we get the start of Isabel as opposed to Belly being the name that she goes by. We were told in the original source material that in college she also went by Isabel as opposed to Belly. Yet they still call her Belly when she's in college. So I guess that's a change from the book to the TV show. She's like ready to fight this man who has her backpack. And he's like, not your backpack. And she's like, my backpack. So she pulls out the wedding dress and is like, this is yours. Why did she pack her wedding dress? I don't know. I don't know why she would do that. Back to Cousins we go, where Steven and Taylor are talking, and he finds out about Cabo. And this really, speaking of the word, it's something about a nail in the coffin. Really put, and blanking on the phrase. It was the final nail to the coffin for Steven and my distaste of him in this episode, because he's upset about Jeremiah cheating on Belly for all of 3 seconds, and then is like, wait, let me make this about me. And let me make this about Taylor, because how dare they talk bad about us when they're just as messed up? And while I, in many cases, would agree that their judgment, like, it makes sense. You would think the man cares just a teeny tiny bit more about his sister and about his so-called best friend and another home run. But he does not. He talks so greatly about Jeremiah and how well he knows him and how he is so much better than Conrad. At least Conrad would never do this. At least Conrad would never do that to Belly. And I guess Taylor does say, like, technically they were broken up when it happened. He technically still lied about it. Pretended it never happened. They did break up again. And then the proposal happened, mostly out of trauma from what had happened to Steven. So really, Steven is the center of all of this Belly Jar drama. Had he not gotten in the car crash, would they have gotten engaged? Probably yes. Because no car crash. No car crash in this one. And they still get engaged. Granted, they're younger, so that also adds to why it was so crazy that they got engaged, because they were like 19. So back in Paris, we have Belly making some friends at a dinner. We find out a little bit of tea of Celine has been with married men. They hear the Belly Conrad story and the Jeremiah Belly story, and they're like, whoa, tea, I'm loving it. That's also so interesting. Like, imagine you just go with your friends, and then this like random girl shows up, like low-key helps your friend out, and then is like, hey, I got a story. That'd be like lore in my friend group for years. And then gets on a bus and calls Jeremiah, and her and Jeremiah talk. He tells her about Steven and Taylor getting back together, and he basically like is like, hey, when you coming back, we're getting back together. And she's like, I'm in Paris. I needed some time, so I decided to go across the Atlantic Ocean into France to think. That I have been thinking too, you know what? It's fine, we didn't get married. Let's just continue dating. Yes. And you see Belly, like, fear, being like, no. Yeah, she does say that she doesn't think that that's going to work. And to quote here, we're gonna pull this out. She says, you don't want to, like, murder me? To which he responds to, a little. And again, I am just going to compare this to Conrad. She says, like, don't you just hate me? He's like, how could anybody hate you? And we're just going to sit here and appreciate him. That's what we're going to do. Jeremiah also makes it a point to say that, like, oh yeah, I can't sleep without you. I had a good time in Cabo. I'm sure you slept just fine. Yeah. Oh, that's a walk. Okay, baseball side note here. After the 15 innings of the ALDS, I am fully a Mariners fan. They had the salmon run, like, the second time. B1, and I was, like, close to tears. And they fully got me. From LA, though, so, like, I am a Dodgers girl. So for now, I will root for the Mariners. If they meet at the World Series, we'll have different opinions then. But for now, also, yes, I do think it's important to note that Jeremiah ends that phone call with, don't fucking call me again. Okay. The North will remember. Also find out what Conrad's wedding gift was going to be. And I think it is so sweet. It is a painting that Susanna did them when they were kids, collecting seashells. And that is beautiful. It is beautiful to me. And again, Jeremiah is just, again, kind of giving evil to me. I will let you know that in the following episode, my feelings towards Jeremiah to shift a tiny bit. So I'm not going to be a complete hater for the rest of this video. But I am going to be a hater for this episode and the previous one. If you want to watch them, they're up there. The episode pretty much ends between a conversation of Conrad and Adam where he says, you know, I told her I love her. And he's like, now I would say that. He's like, because I do. Oh, you do. He's rethinking that little sister comment. He really, really is. It really just shows that like Adam is so out of the loop. So out of the loop. After this convo, Conrad does eventually leave. Adam goes to talk to Jeremiah. And cue or Taylor Swift with hereby we conduct this postmortem. He was a hottest flower to my adoresman. By the way, I love this song. I love TTPD with everything in me. I am also loving Showgirl. A lot of people don't, but I do. I understood on the first listen. I did. I mean, even being technical, the episode does end with Belly going up the stairs, and like she's staying in Paris. So, as our little intermission here, I am gonna read you the first of Conrad's letters because in the show they tell us that Conrad is writing her letters, but we technically only read / see the package of 2 of them. So let's read the first one, why don't we? I'll give you the introduction first. This is Belly's internal monologue. Even now, all these years later, I still read them. Conrad's letters to me when I was studying abroad in Spain. Again, Spain in the book, Paris in the show. Just every once in a while, I pull them all out and sit down and read each one. I know them all by heart, but they still touch me. They still make me feel it all over again. Think that once we were both very young and very far apart, and still finding our way back to each other. Letter 1. Dear Belly, firstly, I don't even know if I should be writing you, if this is allowed. I hope it's allowed. I hope you don't throw this away without even opening the box, because if you do, you'll miss out on something very important. Okay, fine. Something that was once very important to you. I went over to your house to fix your mom's computer. I went into your room to use the printer and I saw Junior Mint sitting on the bookshelf, looking incredibly pathetic. Remember him? Polar bear, wears glasses, and a very stylish scarf. I won him for you at the ring toss. Do you remember how you used to go over to the ring toss and just stare at the polar bears because you wanted one so bad? I probably spent 30 or 40 bucks trying to win you that damn bear. Apparently, he misses you irrespective of the fact that you left him behind. He feels lost without you. I'm serious. That's what he told me. Pathetic, right? So here he is. Be very nice to him, will you? Yeah, Junior Mint was at her mom's house as opposed to the beach house. So that's one little difference. And once we get to this letter in the show, I'll tell you what his letter in the show says, but you will start to see the differences of how they kind of combined a couple of the letters. So this is letter 2. Dear Belly, this is weird, writing you like this. I think the last time I wrote someone an actual letter was a thank you card to my grandma for graduation money. I think. My mom was big on thank you cards. Oh, by the way, you're welcome for Junior Mint. Laura told me you said thanks. Geez, I was hoping for a thank you card, but I guess we can't all be as polite as me. Haha. I should be working on biochem, but I'd rather be talking to you. Laurel says your Spanish is getting better. She told me you got lost the other day trying to hunt down a pack of Sour Patch Kids. Sour Patch Kids? Really? You're too grown for Junior Mint, but not for Sour Patch Kids? Huh. Here's the biggest bag I could find. It's economy size. The next time I see you, I'm sure you'll be toothless, but happy. I really do hope you're happy. Conrad. Would you looky here, it's a new day. Now we are in lightness because this episode was significantly better than the last. And there is not only a term for the episode, but also for the characters, because a lot of my complaints about Belly in the previous episode do not exist in this one because I find her actually really endearing as opposed to very annoying like I did in the last one. And there is moments in which, again, I soften up to Jer. I soften up to... do I soften up to Steven? So it's Thanksgiving and we have French struggles, roommate troubles, stuffing, and horrible jobs for Belly. The first part rhymed, the last part didn't. I got a cough, I need water. So it's Thanksgiving, right? And Belly's introducing her roommates to stuffing and they're all like, ew, that looks kind of gross. And now, question of the day, what are your thoughts on stuffing? Because I really don't like stuffing. I think it's probably one of the worst Thanksgiving sides. I said what I said. To open the episode, we do get a Belly voiceover where she explains a little bit of what the last 3 months have been for her that include the roommate troubles, the job struggles. What did I say? French struggles and roommate troubles because she has 72 roommates. Her and them are just not vibing. Like, one of them comes for coffee and she like pulls out her little mug all happy and he's like, ooh, I ran out. She's like, it's fine. And then later on she will lie to Taylor and be like, yeah, I had coffee with my roommate. That didn't happen. She talks about how she has not one, but 2 bad jobs, and then also how she's like realizing that her French isn't anywhere near as good as she originally believed it to be, and has to like practice everything she's going to say. And then when she does say it, they always respond to her in English, which, by the way, a little moment that I absolutely loved, and I'm skipping all the way to the end here because they connect, is at the end of this episode, she speaks to the woman at the hair salon in French, and they respond to her in French. And I was like, oh my God, she found her place. Anyways, the stuffing that she makes is in fact gross, and she makes a point to say, like, last year it was really good when my boyfriend made it. And this is like the final part of Jeremiah and his chef arc, which again I feel like came out of nowhere because a couple episodes ago we were talking about how he wanted to feed Belly nothing but shin ramen. So where was this energy? Where was this energy in the previous seasons? I don't know. That he wanted to become a chef all of a sudden, and that's where they were going with this. Belly talks with Taylor through FaceTime. They have a little catch-up moment. Belly does invite her to Paris with her for winter break, and their little FaceTime moment gets slightly interrupted by Steven. And let's just say it's things that Belly probably doesn't want to hear about. So Taylor and Steven are hosting Thanksgiving, and Jeremiah is the mastermind behind the meal. And he gets really, really annoying about his mashed potatoes and how, well, not his mashed potatoes, Taylor's, and how she decided to make them with a hand mixer as opposed to a rice cooker. Now, I have also never done mashed potatoes with a rice cooker, but I also don't use a hand mixer. So I don't know, maybe he's onto something. Okay? Maybe he's onto something. It's totally possible. Something I did forget to mention. There's 2 characters in this scene when Taylor walks out of the room. Jeremiah is making out with some girl, and then presumably her boyfriend walks in, sees them kissing, and then they both leave. I don't know who these 2 no-named characters are, but they were there. They're no longer there. And Taylor and Steven basically make it a point to be like, hey, you need to get it together. You need to stop hooking up with anyone and everyone. It kind of sucks that you're here, TBH. A long time some more once Adam crashes Friendsgiving with, you guessed it, his champagne. I also kind of love this little dinner moment. I have mentioned previously, I really like the character of Redbird. He's very funny. He can also be very annoying, but in this moment, he was kind of funny. When he does point out, like, hey, you know what? The mashed potatoes, not as good as everything else. So you know what? Maybe he is onto something about the rice cooker. Should I try to make mashed potatoes with a rice cooker? I don't think I own a rice cooker. I cook rice in a pot with water. Actually, I might have a rice cooker. It's probably somewhere like deep inside everything. Like we have a crock pot we don't use. They accidentally spill the fact that Jeremiah has in fact not really been attending school. He's no longer at the frat house. So Adam cuts him off. And also then Steven kicks him out and is like, hey, you were couch surfing. That implies you needed to go eventually. You have not went, so I'm gonna give you the push. So he goes to stay with Denise. Well, he hasn't gone yet. She just happens to be there and is like, ooh, what did I get myself into by having a spare bedroom? Because once Steven kicks him out, he turns to Denise and is like, oh, I know where I can go. Thus starting what will eventually become the Jeremiah and Denise ship. Janice, Jeremiah. I don't think they have a ship name, but that ship. And I have made it abundantly clear in previous videos that I was like, I don't want this for Denise. And weirdly enough, I didn't hate it. I know, I was shocked too. Because when he asked for help to like pack up his shit, she's like, I am not your mother. That's not gonna work. But she eventually does cave. We also get a little moment from Taylor, who's like, yeah, Jeremiah like cooks randomly when he's like stressed. So we get more of that Jeremiah cooking lore, which she does mention that he does it shirtless, and she's like, hey, bonus. And then you have to see him be like, huh? Thanksgiving Chronicles continue as we see Laurel and John's Thanksgiving. And Laurel gives a little call to Connie. During this phone call, Conrad mentions the fact that he wants to reach out to Belly, and he asks, like, do you think that is something she would want? Should I do? She's like, you know, that's something you have to figure out. That's something you have to do for yourself. So we're now going to cut to me reading you the rest of Conrad's letters from the book. But he also does mention that he's going to go spend Christmas with Laura. Conrad letter number 3. Dear Belly, so far I've written you 2 letters and you've written me, well, none, which is fine. Go ahead. Feel free not to write back. Seriously, don't feel obligated or anything, even though I've sent you 2 handwritten letters and 2 gifts. But seriously, Don't write back. I'm serious. It's better this way. I like hearing my news secondhand from Laura. Speaking of news, she told me you met some Spanish guy named Benito, and he rides around on a scooter. Really, Belly? A guy named Benito who rides a scooter. He probably wears leather pants and has a long, stringy ponytail. I don't even want to know. Don't tell me. He probably looks like a model and weighs 100 pounds and writes you poetry in Spanish. I don't know what you see in a guy like that, but I don't know what you ever saw in me either. So I guess there's no accounting for taste, right? Don't forget, don't write back. Conrad. Letter number 4. Dear Belly, you didn't write back. I thought for sure you would. You used to be so bad at following directions. Now look at you. Kidding. Actually, I'm not. Remember the time you tried to make boxed potato au gratin? And you forgot to put in the cheese? Speaking of potatoes au gratin, I'm for sure also butchering that. Your mom made some for Thanksgiving. Laurel invited us to dinner. My dad and Jer and me. I wasn't sure if Jer would come, but he did. It was awkward as hell. But then Steven put on football and we just sat there and watched it, and it was better. During the half, Jer asked if I'd heard from you, and I said no. He said you'd been chatting online. He said you cut your hair shorter and that it makes you look older, more mature. Then Laura showed us pictures of when she came to visit you. I want to go there someday. I heard you aren't hanging out with that guy Benito anymore. Don't say I didn't warn you. By the way, it looks good, your hair. I don't think it makes you look older, though. Younger, if anything. I might as well be completely honest here, because who even knows if you're reading this? You might have thrown it out without opening it, which is your right. But I'll go ahead and I'll say it. It kills me a little that Jer's seen you, talk to you. But I don't think he hates me anymore, which is the important thing. Also, in case I haven't made it clear, I think about you a lot. You're pretty much all I think about, just so we're clear. Conrad. So here we have a couple of those differences where Adam and Jeremiah have Thanksgiving with Laurel and Conrad as opposed to with Stephen and Taylor, and also Conrad is present. Jeremiah and Belly are like somewhat chatting online, often enough for him to have brought it up. They're kind of on a talking basis, and Laurel has made it to Paris and has like gone back to talk about Paris post Belly haircut. And in this timeline, Belly has yet to get her haircut. Belly has also not officially started going out with Benito or broken up with him, clearly. Back to the TV show. After Conrad hangs up with Laurel, we see the Polaroid Belly and Conrad had taken at the 80s themed party that they threw at the house of cousins. This is where he decides to write her the letter. This is Conrad's first letter to Belly in the summer to Pretty the Show. Dear Belly, firstly, I don't know if I should be writing you, if this is allowed. If not, just say so, I'll understand. I should be memorizing the cardiovascular system, but I'd rather be writing you. Sometimes I try to picture what your life is like over there. I imagine you sitting in a little cafe drinking. What does Belly in Paris drink? Cafe au lait with a lot of sugar along with some disgustingly sweet pastry? Maybe Sour Patch Kids. Do they have those in Paris? I bet if they do, you found them. Or maybe French Belly doesn't eat junk food. You're probably different over there. I bet Paris is beautiful in the holidays. I hear you're staying there for Christmas. I guess that means you're happy. I like picturing it. Well, Merry Christmas, Belly. I hope Paris is everything you've dreamed it would be. Conrad. The TV show letter gets a couple of those letters together. We get the Sour Patch mentions from one letter. We get the I've been thinking about you from a different one. This one is a Christmas letter, and in the letters I read from the book, we are still at Thanksgiving. As Conrad's voiceover is going, we see Belly kind of feeling more at home in Paris. She's hanging out with friends, doing a bunch of fun stuff, which is very different from the Belly that we saw at the beginning of the episode. As Conrad does end that with like, you know what, it's Christmas time. We start seeing Belly at Christmas, and her and Benito have like their little moment at the bar. So now I will read you the Conrad Christmas letter from the book, which is Conrad's final letter. Dear Belly, it's Christmas here. I guess it's Christmas where you are too. I went to the summer house for a few days. I kept thinking I'd turn around and see you stuffing your face with chocolate pretzels or sliding around the downstairs living room in those god-awful mistletoe pajama pants. I bet my mom bought them for you. She used to buy Chair and me matching Christmas sweaters. There's one horrible family portrait of all of us in red button-downs and reindeer bow ties. It's basically a blight on humanity. I hid it in the attic one night. No one's seen it since. If you've been a very good girl this year, maybe I'll show it to you when you come back. My gift to you. You know what you could give me? A letter back. Hell, I'll even take a postcard or an email, anything. I just want to hear from you. I want to know how you're doing. By the time you get this, Christmas will have passed. I hope it was a nice one. Merry Christmas, Belly. Remember last year? Me and you at the summer house? Best Christmas of my life. Love, Conrad. So this is the one letter that he does not end with just Conrad. He ends it with love, Conrad. And would you guess that is in fact the final letter that he ever sends? Because this one gets him a response from Belly. Dear Conrad, When I come home next spring, you better show me that family portrait. Don't you dare try to get out of it. Oh, and I'll be taking it with me, since it's my gift and all. And yes, I do remember. Of course I remember. It was my best Christmas too. Right back soon, Belly. Now we're back to Belly internal monologue. For years, he kept this in his wallet, creased into a million little folds. He said it kept him going, kept him hoping. He said he wanted to keep it with him always, but I said we should keep the letters together, where they belong. And he did show me the family portrait. It's hanging up in our living room. So Christmas at Cousins in the show has Laurel, John, Stephen, Adam, and Jeremiah kind of makes an appearance but doesn't make it all the way in. Stephen is still being like weirdly cold to Conrad and says like, I don't know how to be around you. This is weird. But for some reason, he's totally chill with Jeremiah, even though he found out he cheated on his sister. That part to me still rubbing me the wrong way. But you know what? Conrad does make a point to be like, the only person texting me right now in like a weird twist of events is Taylor. And I love that for Taylor because Taylor realized how serious Conrad was about his feelings towards Belly and how much he actually cared about her. That she was like, you know what? Maybe I don't have to hate this man so hard. Okay, lighting change. I hope this is better. This is not better. I turned on the overhead lamp and it is not. By the way, also, gonna let you in a little secret. This is a completely different day. I just put on the same cardigan to make it look like there was continuity. Different day. Not from here past in between the two episodes. Between the two episodes. There was a day in between. Yeah. Okay, I hope this is better. I opened the blind slightly. But yeah, Taylor had one conversation with Conrad and suddenly she's kind of a stan. We also have the reveal to Adam that Denise and Steven were kind of violating their contract a little bit. So Steven does in fact quit on Christmas. Like a random side note here, the house looked so different to me that at first I thought they were like at Laurel's home or something because it looked different. So like I said, Jeremiah does make a brief appearance. He doesn't get inside. He just like is in the car and Laurel goes out and he complains about how Conrad got the family and he got the house and he can't be back. And again, I tried to give the man some grace, but it's kind of like he's very self-centered in a way that it's like there's no way you can possibly believe that this hasn't any way been easy for Conrad. Like has everyone around him not been icing him out like crazy? Everyone blamed him for it. He's always been someone who takes things very like to heart. So there's no way that he doesn't feel some sort of way. Like he's not this evil person who like is spiteful. And that's the part that like, again, I try to empathize with Jeremiah and I try to see how that would feel. And again, the anger, the frustration, valid. But also to a certain degree, you have to have some reflection and be like, you know what, maybe I was also in the wrong for having proposed after having cheated and after having trying to like make it up and be like, I don't want to lose her, so I'm just going to propose, even though being married is probably not the smartest decision. Even though I was kind of getting in the way of her dreams and her goals. Even though I probably was not the best partner and she's probably happier now. And I have not amounted to anything. Because again, Conrad can rub it in his face so much that he's kind of, up to this point, been a little bit of a loser. But he hasn't. But one little mini reflection moment that he does have that I did appreciate is he does apologize to Laurel. As he should have. As honestly, as he should have so long ago. So long ago. So after this, Jeremiah goes back to his place. And by his place, I mean Denise's. And we find out that he's still with her 1 month later when I believe it was originally like he was going to crash there for a week. They talk about how breakups are kind of like death. And he makes a point to say that losing Belly was almost harder than losing his mom. And I fucking hope Susanna is rolling in her grave because what? And this is not what Susanna would have wanted. That aside, I really hope this microphone is as good as I'm hoping it is because there's a car alarm going off. It is loud. Anyways, where was I going with this? Oh, yes. Denise has some sort of magical abilities because she made Jeremiah so incredibly likable in that scene that they had together. Like, it reminded me of season 1 Jeremiah because I really liked season 1 Jeremiah. Season 2, it kind of went away. By season 3, I hated the man. Honestly, only the first half of season 1 Jeremiah is like really good. The second half, But, yeah, she made him likable. So, round of applause for her. Taylor makes it to Paris for New Year's Eve. She gets there at night. She's like, we have so many plans. We have so many things to do. I need to find an outfit. And she hangs out with her and Benito the following day. And then for New Year's Eve, they're like setting up Belly's apartment. That night, Jeremiah and Belly have a conversation on the phone. And she apologizes for what happened. And he's like, no, I don't want to talk about the past. We're trying to move on. I'm now into like cooking. What's up? She's like, you know what? Life in Paris isn't so bad. So yeah, they have their little moment on the phone. We have the party for New Year's officially start. When Benito shows up, and you know what else shows up? A care package from Conrad. In said care package, she gets both Sour Patch Kids and Junior Mint, aka the 2 items that he sends her in the books on 2 separate packages though. But here he puts them together. I guess shipping is more expensive in the year 2025 than it was when these books were being published. Taylor like digs at her a little bit that it's like, so you're not moving on, huh? Because you're getting love letters from Conrad Fisher. And she's like, no, that's not true. And she kisses Benito and you're like, whoa. She went for someone that wasn't a Fisher brother. This hasn't happened since season 1. Ellie's friend Gemma's moving out of her apartment. This scene actually had me cracking up when I was watching it because she folds and unfolds the box so many times because you can know that they're cutting at different times, but like the takes don't match. So like in one frame the box will be closed and then in the next frame this part is like up and that part, you know, it probably wasn't that serious, but these are the kind of things that I pay attention to. That's not that important. But so Belly is still in the mindset that she's leaving Paris, and Gemma's like, no way, you should stay. You're having a great time. You're growing as a person. This has been amazing for you. Also, my apartment's not free. Your lease, babe. This conversation gets interrupted by a call from Laurel that lets us know that Belly forgot Susanna's death anniversary. They talk about Susanna for a tiny little bit when it's like, you know, Susanna would have been very happy that you're living your life in Paris. And she also mentions that Gemma's apartment, like the view matches the view of that Audrey Hepburn's apartment has in Sabrina. Now, she's having that little experience too, which is so fun for her. But it's also the movie that her and Cameron watched during season 1 when the boys crashed her first date. Yeah, they're watching Sabrina. So this was all full circle. There's a little flashback that we have of Laura, Susanna, and Baby Belly that kind of leads us into the remaining of that Susanna chunk of the episode that has the Fisher boys going to the cemetery. And they mention how it's been 5 years since she died. The real conversation ends up being kind of really important to the healing of Conrad and Jeremiah's relationship. And it starts with Jeremiah being upset and being like, you know what, you were just a snake in the grass, slithering around, trying to take her from me. You were pretending to help for my wedding, but there was like malintent the entire time. He mentions that you don't know what it's like to lose someone like that when you've been with them for that long, like what it means. To which Conrad is like, then how can you sleep with someone else, huh? And Jeremiah's like, wait, we were broken up. We were broken up because of Christmas. Because of Christmas. Everything goes back to Christmas. But he does say, like, that you wanted Belly so bad that you found a way to take her. To which Conrad, and round of applause here, snaps all around, says, you know what, you can't take someone. Like, she's not an object. Acting like as if giving her a ring made her yours. And she lost all autonomy in the situation. Which, again, was one of the complaints that I had with Jeremiah. That he, like, did not care about Belly as a person. He cared about having a fiance. He cared about having one and like one-upped Conrad by dating Belly, by being engaged to Belly, by potentially marrying Belly, as opposed to actually like being with her because who she was as a person. And I'm so glad that Conrad's response to this is like, you were totally cool with taking Belly, and we're going to use your wording, 1 month after they had broken up, and you didn't care because you were so in love that you were like, I don't care about other people's feelings. I'm happy, she's happy, this is working for us. I tried not to love her, I tried not to say anything, but there was a moment where like you couldn't anymore. Jeremiah does make a point to say, you know, I didn't want to bring up Christmas because I know that once I brought up Christmas I would lose her for good, and like, can you blame me for not wanting to lose her? So they make up. He mentions like, hey, has Belly been talking to you? Conrad's like, no, she hasn't actually. The last time we spoke was actually last summer, but I've been writing her letters. So back in Paris, we have Belly in her new apartment that Benito's helping her move into. We have the one playing in the background. She gets her letter from Conrad. I will read you that letter in a second. Dear Belly, I saw Jeremiah yesterday. We both went to Mom's grave. Things went better than the last time we were together. No punches were thrown. He told me you'd been in touch. I might as well be completely honest here because who even knows if you're reading my letters? You might have thrown them all away without opening them, which is your right. But I'll go ahead and I'll say it even though I have no right. It killed me a little that Jer talked to you. So I don't think he hates me anymore, which is a good thing. Also, in case I haven't made it clear, I think about you a lot. You're pretty much all I think about, just so we're clear. Love, Conrad. Again, the clear inspiration from the book is present, but in the books he never does mention that he goes to visit the grave, so that's added there. And here we have Belly's response, because again, this one is we love Conrad, so of course she's gonna respond because she's a simple girl. Dear Conrad, I never thank you for sending me Junior Mint, so thank you. and thank you for your letters. It's sweet of you to think of me. I finally found a new apartment. This is my address. I hope you're well. Conrad obviously ends up getting that letter and he keeps it folded up in his pocket, like he does in the book. He's talking to Agnes about a conference that is happening in Brussels and how he kind of wants to go to Paris and is like, should I go? And she's like, I'm gonna read that letter. I want to see what she says. And then reads the letter and is like, oh, you want to go for this? Like, you think you have a shot. But she's kind of messy and I love it because she is both like cheering him on and like rooting for Conrad and Belly, but also being like, let's be realistic. You are showing up uninvited. Like, ooh. And my note for this scene was, I need her to be his best man. I'm so serious. Because we did not get the Belly Conrad wedding in episode 11, but the movie is happening. So could we potentially get it there? I hope. And I hope Agnes is in fact the best man. Anyways, the final scene of this episode, I have already kind of mentioned that it is Belly getting her hair cut and then the hairdresser responding to her in French, which I very much loved that for her. One thing I will say about this episode and the previous one is that the pacing was very off, because you'll hear about this in my talks about the finale. But the finale felt a little bit rushed, and there was a couple of things missing in the finale that I really wanted, and I felt like they were not able to happen just because there was not enough time. Because too much and also nothing happens in these two episodes. That's the plot. Not that nothing happens. It's just certain stuff gets dragged on far too long, that it's like this could have been condensed slightly and it would have worked a lot better. So with that, I am done with episodes 9 and 10. I may be done with her because the final episode doesn't have anything to do with this. Hope the movie does, because we're still missing those last 3 pages. Okay, but no, seriously, that is all for me. Bye!